a low-scoring game, and you just need to find a way to finish the job, right? Um, you look at what the bullpen did in this game. It was really, really good until Suarez got in there. Yuki Matsui walks the leadoff man in the sixth inning, but ends up finding a way out of it with the help of Adrian Morejon, who did a great job. He had Jeremiah Estrada, scoreless seventh inning. Then in the eighth inning, Wandy Peralta gets the first two outs of the inning. Kyle Schwarber, another home run against the Padres. He just tortures the Padres and makes it 3-2. But Peralta then comes out. Robert Suarez comes in. 4-out save opportunity, gets out of the inning, gets you to the ninth inning. And then in that ninth inning, the Phillies showing why they're a great team and they're a great lineup. And look, Robert Suarez has been tremendous all year. These days are going to happen. You look at the exit velos in that ninth inning, nothing was scorched, but the Phillies are a great team with a great lineup, and really, really great teams, they find ways to win games like this when they have the heart of their order up in the bottom half of the ninth inning. I don't know that any of us expected it would happen quite as quickly as it did. Four batters, three singles to begin the inning, tied the game, and then a ground rule double off the bat of Castellanos. That's what it was ruled, as it hopped up over the sidewall. Tatis couldn't get to it, sliding by the foul line. Just like that, four batters, four hits. The Phillies scored 2 runs, and the game was over. So when it rains, it pours. I mean, look, the Padres are going through something seemingly right now where things are not going well. It's a 5th consecutive loss, and sometimes when you go through a stretch like this, it just feels like you're finding different ways to lose ball games each night. And all these games have been a little bit different the last couple of days. The pitching has not been great. Michael King was good today. He threw a lot of pitches, had to come out with 2 outs in the 5th inning. So it was a 4th consecutive game where the Padres didn't get 5 innings from their starter. But again, you just forget about all that for a second. Forget about the top half of the lineup being 2 for 22, the top 6 in the lineup today. That's all part of it. But you have a 3-1 lead with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and against a great team in the Phillies, you're just going to have games like that where you got to find a way to shut the door. And your closer's not going to be perfect in all likelihood over the course of a full season. And Robert Suarez suffers his first blown save. That's about all I got for you on this one. Look, you're going to have games like this where you got to find a way late in a low-scoring affair. And tonight was not Robert Suarez's night. As simple as that. And the Phillies did what a really, really good team does, and they took advantage of having the top of their order up in the 8th inning. The Schwarber home run made it a 1-run game in the 9th inning with the 4 straight hits to take the lead. So really tough, and Padres are going through it right now. They're 3 games under 500, and again, they'll try to avoid what would be a sweep tomorrow and an 0-6 road trip. We'll see if they can do it. It's not going to be easy with left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for Philadelphia. Really tough one for the Padres here on this Tuesday evening. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, recap this game from start to finish, and much, much more. Again, the final, Phillies 4, Padres 3 on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in Philadelphia. The Phillies walk it off on the Padres as they beat them 4-3 on this Tuesday night. Phillies have won the first 2 games of this series. Padres have now lost 5 in a row. The Padres have also now lost 9 consecutive road games, which is fairly inconceivable considering how well the Padres were playing on the road to begin the season. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios here on the Padres Radio Network. We'll hear from Mike Shildt in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. We'll also have the radio highlights for you in a little bit as well. Recap this game from start to finish. And I talked about a number of different things there in the opening segment. I should also mention this before we hear from Mike Shildt, so you have an understanding of what happened here tonight. Again, I said it earlier, you're going to have games like this where if you're the Padres, you have a limited amount of opportunities and you find a way to take a lead. And the other team in the Phillies here tonight, they had tons of opportunities. The Phillies entering the 8th inning, despite having all the base traffic against Michael King, despite having 2 on in the 6th inning with Turner and Harper coming up, despite having a base runner on in the 7th inning, they ended the 8th inning 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And in this game total, they left on 14. They left on a ton. 1 in the 1st inning, 2 in the 2nd inning, 1 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th inning, 2 in the 5th inning, 2 in the 6th inning, 1 in the 7th inning. So it was one of those games where if you're the Padres, you almost felt like you were going to be able to steal it because you didn't have many opportunities at all. The bottom third of your lineup, that was the part of the lineup today that created the offense. And look, with the way Robert Suarez has pitched, anytime you get Suarez on the mound with a lead in the 9th inning, I don't care who's coming up with how good he's been, you feel good with how good he's been. And look, tonight's not on Robert Suarez. It's just not. He's been awesome. He's been absolutely awesome for this team, okay? He's been perfect in save opportunities. Like I said earlier, the Padres were 28-0 before tonight when Robert Suarez appeared in a game. He's not going to be perfect every single time. He's just not. And look, the Padres offense didn't give the bullpen a whole lot of margin for error, right? They had a 2-run lead entering the 8th inning. They had a 2-run lead. Think about it this way, a 2-run lead with the top of the Phillies lineup coming up. 2 outs, nobody on in the 8th inning. Peralta gives up a home run to Schwarber. And then in the 9th inning, it just did not go well. 4 batters, 4 hits. Phillies scored 2 runs. The game was over. So when it's not going well, sometimes it really isn't going well, and that one kind of falls in this category here tonight. Let's go back to Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, hear from the Padre manager.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, how do you explain or put into words what's happening right now after a loss like that one?
It's hard to articulate. It clearly hurts. Scratched and clawed, did everything we possibly could to win a game, and did a lot of good things right. And just the end wasn't good enough. Robert's been tremendous for us all year. I mean, this guy's been amazing, and they had clearly had a good plan, and we were able to get some good swings off. And but no, I mean it was shaping up to be a really nice team win with a lot of contributions from everybody. Those contributions don't count as much when you don't bring it home.
He hadn't pitched in 6 days. Did you think he was rusty at all, or
I don't think so. We've had that. I mean, the thing with closers or any relievers, you can too much work, not enough work. Drought, flood. He hadn't pitched in 6 days. He's been up, multiple times. We've had this, with him in the past where hadn't thrown for 6-7 days, but gotten up and sharp. But he got up and was able to get Turner to grab the 8th. So I don't think that has anything to do with it at all.
How's Campy doing overall? Obviously, he got banged up a little bit before the home run.
Yeah, he took a shot, and I'm sure he'll be a little sore. But man, what a great swing for the homer. We didn't have a lot of opportunities. We took advantage of the ones we had. Campy with a big swing and pro. It looked like was going to give us maybe some insurance, but he's going to come out of it fine. Just a little sore.
What did you think of King tonight?
I thought he was good. Was able to navigate the lineup. just a lot of pitches. A lot of pitches. They put some together good at bats, dodged a little traffic. Overall, I thought he was good, both sides of the plate. Secondary was good. It gave us more than a chance. But, once he gets to a certain point, with some stress, just needed for, it's his time to come out. But overall, like I said, he gave us a shot at it.
Frustrating. We talked last night about if you can't pitch, you're not going to shake hands a lot. You guys did pitch well tonight. You had that lead. Frustrating to watch this one get away after what the first 8 innings brought you.
No question about it. I mean, the bullpen was good for the most part. I mean, Matty got in and got his guy in the 5th, and got picked up later. And Jeremiah was good. Moreland was great. It was a big inning to finish the 6th. Strada got his guys in 7th. Wandy got his 2 guys, and then made a mistake to a guy that just doesn't miss mistakes. Not when I watch games. And then we saw the 9th. But yeah, I mean your opportunity to win games is going to be a lot based on how you pitch, and we pitched well enough tonight and just came up on the short end.
How fast did it feel like that 9th happened?
I mean, clearly it happened quick. I didn't look at the pitch total. It's not a ton. 9. A lot of action in a short period of time. It was quick and slow at the same time. Went out and navigated what we're going to do to get out of it, and just weren't able to get it done.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt. After tonight's game, Phillies walk it off on the Padres 4-3 with a 2-run bottom half of the 9th inning. Let's quickly pause for station ID before we continue on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Mike Shildt, manager of the San Diego Padres. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres drop a 5th consecutive game. It is an 0-5 road trip. Not going well right now for the San Diego Padres. And look, I said in the opening segment, sometimes you're going to have games like this. And as I always say, 2 things can be true at once, right? And again, we have much more to do on our post-game show. We'll recap this game, all the radio highlights in just a little bit, continue to break this one down. You're going to have games like this just in general over the course of 162 that are low scoring, where the other team, if you're the Padres, has all the scoring opportunities. They don't capitalize. You get just a few, and you do find a way to capitalize, and you have a lead, and your bullpen does a great job for the most part, but it just gets away at the last moment, and that's what happened here today. These games happen. I'm not excusing it, but obviously, if you watch baseball, nights like this happen, and even for a guy in Robert Suarez who's been terrific, hey, you have an outing like this, okay? It's not like he got, hard line drives off him. I'm not making an excuse for Suarez, but you're going to have an outing where you have a 1-run lead to work with. You're asked to get 4 outs, and you can't get it done. It happens. It doesn't mean that Robert Suarez has not been great all year. He has. So that's one way to look at it tonight. The Padres had 2 at-bats with runners in scoring position. They left on 1 base runner in this game because they didn't have many on. Meanwhile, again, the Phillies, they ended up going 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, left a grand total of 14 on base in this game. You look at it for the Padres, remember, they didn't have a base runner until the 5th inning. They had 1 in the 5th inning. They had the rally in the 6th inning. And aside from the 5th and the 6th, they had no base runners in 7 out of the 9 innings here tonight. And it brings me to this next point, which is the other side of the coin when you talk about this game and this 9-game losing streak. And this is the part that is frustrating and is troublesome. The Padres, during this 9-game losing skid on the road, they've scored a grand total of 21 runs in those games. So they're averaging, that's 2.3 runs per game in those 9 losses on the road. They've only scored more than 3 runs in those last 9 road games once. They scored 6 one time. But the other totals, 2 runs, 1 run, 1 run, 2 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 3 runs, 3 runs. That's it. So, you look at things, and in fact, I may be a touch off here because they had 2 yesterday, but I may be a touch off just looking at my sheet here. But I think you get the point. It's somewhere just above 2 runs per game. And the point is, whether I'm a run off or not, the point is this. when you're not scoring, it leaves you such little margin for error. And we saw that here today. Despite Michael King getting through 4 2/3 innings, dealing with so much base traffic and giving up just one run. Despite Yuki Matsui, Adrian Morahone, Jeremiah Estrada, Wandy Peralta getting it to 2 outs in the 8th inning with a 2-run lead. Look, when you're not scoring a lot of runs, and the Padres only had 3 here today, and it's been really one of the main issues during this road losing streak, it just leaves you with so little room for error, and it doesn't give your pitching staff any room to make mistakes, any room to give up runs. And I kind of feel that's what happened here today, right? They didn't score a lot. They got 3 runs on only 4 hits. Like I said, 7 out of the 9 innings in this game. They didn't have a base runner on. And it gave this bullpen and Michael King, it gave them very, very little room to make any mistakes. And they got close to being not perfect, the bullpen, but being scoreless. And then you got to the top of the Phillies lineup. And the top of the Phillies lineup is really, really good. And guess what? Put it this way. The Phillies were down 3-1 by the time Schwarber came up in the 8th inning, their leadoff man. By the time they got to the number 6 hitter in this game, or I should say the number 6 hitter, that final turn through the lineup, the game was over. They had won it. So you look at 5 out of the last 6 Phillies batters had a hit in this game between the 8th and 9th. It just leaves you so little room for error when you're not scoring runs. And we'll see if the Padres offense can get it going tomorrow. But like I said, it's not going to be easy. They've got one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Phillies tomorrow. We'll have more on that coming up later. When we come back, we'll recap this game from start to finish and continue to talk about it. Tough one for the Padres here tonight. Phillies 4, Padres 3, the final on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, the Phillies 4 and the Padres 3 as the Padres lose a heartbreaker in Philadelphia. Padres had a 3-1 lead with 2 outs in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Kyle Schwarber, a solo home run in the 8th to make it 3-2, and then the Phillies end up winning it with 2 runs in the bottom half of the 9th inning. We'll recap this game in its entirety in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. On this Tuesday evening, Padres will finish up this series and this road trip with a little baseball tomorrow, West Coast morning baseball. More on that game coming up later as well. Before we continue on here, some very, very sad news that came out during today's game, late in the game, and that was the passing of Hall of Famer Willie Mays at the age of 93. Very sad news, and our thoughts are with the Mays family. One of the greatest baseball players ever, and some would say the greatest ever in baseball. Willie Mays, 23 seasons in the major leagues, batted .301 with 660 home runs, 339 stolen bases, 3,293 hits. He won 2 National League MVP awards. Willie Mays was a 24-time All-Star. The Say Hey Kid may rest in peace. A tremendous loss for the baseball community. Just one of the best to ever do it, to ever step on the baseball field. One of the greatest players of all time. So our thoughts are with the Mays family. Very sad day for baseball, the passing of the great Willie Mays at the age of 93. We continue talking about this game. The Padres losing to the Phillies today by a final score of 4-3. Let's recap it from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Our game recap. Let's begin with what both starting pitchers did early on. They were tossing up early zeros. Aaron Nola went 12 up and 12 down to begin his day in 4 perfect innings. Michael King dealt with base runners in each of his first 3 innings, but he worked around them. We were still scoreless in the bottom half of the 4th. Nick Castellanos hit a 1-out double. Brandon Marsh was next.
2-1 pitch is hit hard on the line into left center. That's down for a base hit. Castellanos rounding third. He's going to come in and score. Merrill's throw goes to the cutoff man. An RBI single for Brandon Marsh. He's 2 for 2, and the Phillies lead it 1-0.
The Phillies would load the bases in that inning, but King did a good job getting out of it. King was at 85 pitches through 4 innings. Padres got their first base runner against Nola in the top of the 5th, the 1-out single from Donovan Solano, but then he was thrown out at second base on a strike him out, throw him out double play. King would get through 4 2/3 innings. He left the bottom of the 5th inning with 2 runners on base, but Yuki Matsui finished a scoreless frame. That brought us to the 6th inning. Padres still down 1-0. They got it going. Nola walked the leadoff man, David Peralta. Luis Campusano was next.
Now he comes home, and Campusano swings, sends it in the air deep to center field. Pache's back on the warning track, feeling for the wall, leaps up, gonna go! Luis Campusano over the 4:01 marker in straightaway center field. A 2-run home run, and the Padres take a 2-1 lead.
That's some relief right there. Dead central. And for all the pain he felt in the last inning, he feels pretty good right now trotting around these bases.
Padres weren't done. Tyler Wade singled. He went to second base on a fly out to deep left. Good aggressive base running by Wade. It paid off as Jurickson Profar dug in with 2 outs.
Nola deals. And that's lined into right field, a base hit. Wade is rounding third on his way. He'll score without a throw from Castellanos. An RBI single for Jurickson Profar. And the Padre lead is 3-1.
Who else but Jurickson Profar?
Padres led 3-1 going bottom 6. Matsui walked the leadoff man. He then struck out the number 9 hitter, Garrett Stubbs. Matsui came out. Adrian Morejon came in. Morejon allowed a single to Kyle Schwarber. That put runners on first and second. But then Morejon managed to induce 2 long flyouts from both Trey Turner and Bryce Harper to end the inning, stranding the tying runs on base. Jeremiah Estrada struck out 3 in a scoreless bottom of the 7th inning. Padres still led just 3-1 heading to the bottom of the 8th. Wandy Peralta entered. He got the first 2 outs, but then it was Kyle Schwarber.
Here's the 0-1. Schwarber swings, hits it in the air to very deep right field. Peralta just kind of turns to watch. That'll go off the facing of the second deck and right. Schwarber's 3rd home run in the last 2 games here, and we got ourselves a 1-run ball game in the bottom of the 8th. It's 3-2.
After the Schwarber home run, Mike Shildt went to Robert Suarez. Suarez got Trey Turner to fly out to end the 8th inning. So at that point, the Padres had a 3-1 lead. They still had, a 3-2 lead. They still had that 3-2 lead heading to the bottom half of the 9th inning. In the bottom half of the 9th, Robert Suarez back on the mound looking to stay perfect in save opportunities. Bryce Harper hit a leadoff single. Alec Boehm hit another single. That sent Harper to 3rd. That set the table in the 9th inning for the Phillies down by 1. Bryson Stott at the plate.
2-0 to Stott. Swung on line the other way into left field, base hit. That'll tie the game. Harper comes in to score. It's 3-3, and the winning run now at second base with nobody out.
And then moments later, it was Nick Castellanos.
Castellanos has faced Robert Suarez twice in his career. He has struck out both times. Had a walk-off single here against the Pirates in mid-April, and a walk-off double against Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. Winning run at second. First pitch on the way. Castellanos swings, hits it in the air down the right field line. Long run, Fernando. Over, he slides, can't make the catch. It bounces behind him. That'll get it done. Boehm rounding 3rd, he'll score, and the Phillies walk it off. 4 straight hits against Suarez in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they come back to win it 4-3.
And that was that. Robert Suarez's first blown save of the season. The first time the Padres have lost the game this season that Robert Suarez had appeared in. Suarez now 17 for 18 in save opportunities. You heard it there. 4 straight hits to begin that bottom half of the 9th inning. Went from a 3-2 Padre lead to a 4-3 Phillies win. 4 runs, 13 hits, no errors for Philadelphia. For the Padres, 3 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. Padres dropped to 37-40. Phillies improved to 49-24. Padres have now lost 5 in a row. They have lost 9 consecutive road games, and the Padres will now try to avoid a sweep in Philadelphia tomorrow and also try to avoid having an 0-6 road trip to New York and Philly. When we come back on our post-game coverage, we'll squeeze in some of your phone calls. If you want to get them in, phone number is always 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number, 833-288-0973. If you want to get a phone call in, we'll continue to recap this game, cycle through some of our daily awards, full out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more to come. Phillies win it in walk-off fashion, 4-3 over the Pods. Our post-game coverage continues when we come back. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Phillies 4 and the Padres 3 as the Padres lose a tough one in Philadelphia as the Phillies score 2 runs in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Walk-off ground rule double by Nick Castellanos to win the game. That was against Robert Suarez, his first blown save of the season. First time the Padres have lost a game this season where Robert Suarez has pitched, and the Padres have now lost 5 in a row. They dropped to 37-40 on the year. Things were feeling really good when the Padres hit the road, and you knew it was going to be a tough road trip to New York and then Philly. But remember, they swept the Oakland A's on the walk-off home run by Jackson Merrill on Wednesday, nearly a week ago. Seems like a lot longer than that, right? Seems like a totally different universe when the Padres were hitting back-to-back walk-off home runs last Tuesday and Wednesday, but that's the game of baseball sometimes. It can come at you fast, and the Padres falling here today 4-3. We'll have your phone calls in a moment, 833-288-0973. We'll get to some of those in just a second. First, let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
For relief pitcher of the game here today, we're going to keep it on the Padres side of things because although Robert Suarez did blow the save, there was a lot of good stuff from the bullpen today, and I look at what Adrian Morejon did in particular in the 6th inning. Padres had just taken a 3-1 lead in the top of the 6th inning with a 3-run frame. Then Yuki Matsui, and I haven't really talked about this because at this point it's not really part of the story, but then Matsui walks the leadoff man to begin the 6th inning, which if you're Yuki, you just can't do after your team just scored 3 runs to take the lead. That's neither here nor there. But Matsui gets a strikeout after that. Morejon comes in, gives up a single to Kyle Schwarber, so he has to face Turner and Harper with 2 runners on, and he got a couple of deep flyouts from both. But you know what? They were caught by the warning track, and he got out of the inning. And it just felt like at the time, despite everything that happened in the 8th and 9th, it felt like at the time the Padres needed a shutdown inning, and they got it. So for that reason, I'm going to stay on the positive side for relief pitcher of the game. Give it to Adrian Morejon for getting the big 2 outs in that 6th inning. A shutdown inning at the time. Again, this is all now in hindsight of how it all went down as the game got later, but at the time it felt like a really, really big deal, a really big couple of outs against Turner and Harper. And look, other guys in the bullpen did a good job in this one. Jeremiah Estrada striking out 3 in a scoreless inning. Good bounce back for him. Peralta then gets the first 2 outs of the 8th inning, and that's where the trouble started. Schwarber, the 2-out solo home run, and then with Suarez giving up 4 hits and 4 batters in the 9th inning as the Phillies came back to win it. All right, let's go to the phones, 833-288-0973. How you feeling, Padres fans? It's been a tough handful of days, no doubt about that. I'm here for you. Let's begin things with Brian, who's calling in from San Diego. Hi, Brian. You're on the Padres postgame show.
Hey, Sammy, long-time listener, first-time caller. My frustration in the Padres motivated me to call today.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this game, this series, this year, it's been really frustrating. It seems like we can never jam as a team. You know, one side of the pitching's doing well, hitting's doing bad. Hitting's doing well, pitching's doing bad. I don't know what it is, man. It's really frustrating. And, we celebrate these wins. We're talking about we had 2 walk-offs against the A's, and we forget it's just the A's.
Yep.
Seems like when we go and try to compete, with real teams, we just can't do it. And I don't know what it is. It's just really frustrating, man. I have to tell you, as a fan, it's, I had hope, just like everyone else, that this would be a team contender, and I don't know what it is. I think that's what makes it more frustrating. Can't put your finger on where to point the finger. I think everyone needs to hold up the mirror, and I think we just got to play as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian, totally understand your feelings, and look, it has been a team that's had some bursts of where things were clicking, and you felt like they were about to take off. It didn't really happen. Obviously, I think it's hard to put your finger on for a number of reasons. I think the inconsistencies of this team, whether it was playing really well against good teams, not so well against teams that you feel like they should have been able to beat up a little bit, whether early on it was playing really well on the road, which is now totally flipped. The Padres are 0-9 in their last 9 road games. I'm with you. It's confusing to know how to feel or what this team really is at this point, because we've seen a little bit of everything. Now, look, if you want to take the glass half full view of things right here, right now, despite losing 5 in a row and being on what has been just a really tough road trip, to say the least, look, they have had some stretches like this and have found ways to come out of it. Now, the problem is that they haven't come out of it and then continued that momentum and put it together for the course of a couple of weeks, over the course of a month. They have found ways to battle out of some tough stretches. They're going to have to do it again. I guess that gives you a little optimism. You look at what they're doing right now, it's been a little bit of everything, right? I mean, you look at the first game of this road trip, Matt Waldron is terrific. They don't score many runs. They don't win the game, but it felt like a winnable game. Then you have the Adam Mazur start on Saturday in New York. Again, they don't score much at all. They get 2 hits. Okay, those 2 games on the offense. Then the last couple of days, look, it's just hard to win games. Dylan Cease gives up 7 runs in 3 2/3 innings in New York. Randy Vasquez yesterday, 6 runs, all the home runs. Hard to win games when you get that kind of starting pitching. And then here today, Michael King throws a lot of pitches, but navigates his way into the 5th inning, gives up 1 run. Your bullpen, for the most part, does a terrific job. But what faltered today? Well, you could look at 2 things. Number one, you could look at your offense only getting 3 runs on 4 hits, the top 6 in your lineup, going 2 for 22. And then obviously Robert Suarez had a bad day, which is going to happen. It's just going to happen. So, look, obviously part of today is on Suarez, but am I going to go crazy about Suarez? No, he's been great. He's been perfect in save opportunities, and it's June 18th. It's going to happen. So sometimes when it's going bad, you just feel like you're finding different ways to lose and different things to point to night in, night out. And the Padres, Brian, are sort of in that situation right now. It doesn't mean they can't pull out of it, but this is a tough stretch for them. It's tough. There's no doubt about it, okay? They have one more game against Philadelphia. They've got a first-place Brewers team coming to town on Thursday for a 4-game series. So they are not out of the woods as far as this being a tough little stretch of the schedule, and things aren't going well. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they are by the end of this week. They almost desperately have to start playing better and winning some games, or you could find yourself, again, you have 5 more games, 1 against the Phillies and 4 against the Brewers. You could find yourself quite a handful of games below 500. We'll see. Get a win tomorrow. Step in the right direction. Ain't going to be easy tomorrow, though, with Suarez on the mound for Philadelphia. So, not going well. I wish I had, better answers for you, Brian. Yeah, it's obviously been a very, very up and down season again, and it is a hard team to put your finger on. It really is. Let's go to Rod, who's calling in from San Diego. Hi, Rod.
Hey, Sam. Nice to be on the show, and a quick little shout out to the chat that loves you dearly. You and Nick behind the boards there.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you.
At Gonzo, at Dan, at Podzilla. It could go on and on, but I just want to make this quick. So on Thursday, when we come back home against Milwaukee, I hope that all of us can pick up the slack on the field and start waving those Hawaiian shirts around and try to get this rally going. Because looking back when the season first started, when the schedule was announced, I looked at June and I said, man, that's a trouble stretch, and it's happening. But we could get out of this, San Diego. Let's just cheer on our pod. Thank you, Sam. First time, very long time. Love your show.
Hey, Rod, appreciate that very much. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for being active on the YouTube chat. I know a lot of people enjoy watching that way and interacting with one another on the video stream chats. I mean, look, you look at this schedule coming up, it's a tough little 7-game stretch here. I think it just brings up the point again of why, when the Padres struggled against, well, let's go through it here, the Rockies when they got swept, or the Angels when they got swept, or the Mets even this past weekend. Mets are playing really well, but a team that the Padres had a pretty significantly better record than entering that series. They got swept. You could point out a couple of other examples as well, right, of the Padres struggling against teams that you feel they should, quote-unquote, be able to handle. Well, part of the reason that is so important to do well against those types of teams is because there's the other side of the schedule. You have to play teams like the Phillies on the road in that kind of environment against a great Phillies lineup. These games are hard against Philadelphia on the road. This is a great Phillies team. They got the best record in the NL. Their next win's going to be their 50th win. Again, we talk about margin for error, right? So whether we want to talk about when the offense struggles the way they've struggled on the road lately, or you want to talk about the Padres not playing up to what you believe they should play at against teams you feel like they should be able to handle, it just creates very little margin for error in the other areas of a game, in the other areas of a season. It's as simple as that. It just is. So we'll see if they can get a win tomorrow, but this has been a tough trip, and it just, again, kind of, harkens back to the importance of handling those teams that were earlier on the schedule, and the Padres didn't, and now, they're going through a rough stretch, and it just does not leave you much margin for error, right? Let's go to Ryan calling in from San Diego. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, my bad.
You're good.
Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm all right. This is probably like one of the more frustrating losses of the season for the Padres, and like you hinted at earlier, like you got to beat the teams that you got to beat, like the Rockies, like the Angels, because you're gonna go up against the better teams in baseball, like the Phillies, like the Orioles, teams like that, and it gives you basically no margin for error against the teams that are going to give you more of a challenge. So.
Yeah, Ryan, for sure. Look, you're echoing what I just said, and appreciate the call. Thank you for listening and calling in. I know you've been calling in quite a bit lately, so appreciate it. Think about it this way. Had you played a little bit better against the Rockies, against the Angels, and you could point to some other series as well, right? Then maybe when you're going through a stretch like this, where you're 0-5 on a road trip, you're having a tough loss in Philadelphia, well, maybe instead of being 3 games under 500 and on the outside looking in of a wild card spot now with a long ways to go, but they are right now. They're on the outside looking in. Well, maybe instead of that, you're, sitting a game or two above 500 right now, or at 500, and you're sort of comfortably still in a wild card spot. I mean, these are the things that matter. These are the things that make it a little bit easier when you're going through a rough stretch, when you're playing the really great teams. The Phillies played like a really great team in that 9th inning, right? They had a game plan against Suarez. They were getting after him early in the at-bats. I thought there was a clear game plan in that 9th inning to attack. They did, and they did it successfully. 4 straight hits to start the inning, and the game was over. So, again, we're kind of going in circles here, but, yeah, it just harkens back to why it's important to play well against the sub-500 teams, right, and teams that you feel like you shouldn't get swept by, whether it's the Rockies or the Angels, because it gives you some breathing room when you got to go up against the great teams. So, we shall see what tomorrow holds. And then, again, there's no time to, to really think about it too much, because the Padres don't have an off day until next Thursday. They're in the stretch of 13 games in 13 days. They've now had 4 consecutive games where their starting pitcher is not gone past the 5th inning. I should say their starting pitcher hasn't completed the 5th inning, so it's taxing this bullpen quite a bit. The Padres have really had to go to a lot of relievers in the last 4 days. And you could use a great outing for Matt Waldron and a deep outing for Matt Waldron tomorrow. We'll see if they can get it. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at finals from around the major leagues. Red Sox beat the Blue Jays in Toronto 4-3. Braves beat the Tigers in Atlanta 2-1. Cubs beat the Giants at Wrigley Field 5-2. White Sox blanked the Astros 2-0 in Chicago. Diamondbacks beat the Nationals 5-0 in D.C. Yankees beat the Orioles 4-2 in New York. Really good series there between the two top teams in the American League East. In that game, Aaron Judge got hit in the hand by a pitch, and he came out of the game. So I have not seen an update on that. I'm going to search it up right now. Obviously, I've been on the air for the last 45, 50 minutes, so I haven't seen an update on that. I'm searching it up right now, see if there was any update, any imaging done. I don't see anything right now, but he did come out of the game after getting hit in the hand with a pitch. So obviously very concerning for the Yankees. Diamondbacks beat the Nationals. Told you about that one. 5-0 in D.C. Mariners 8, Guardians 5 in Cleveland earlier today. Dylan Moore, a home run in that game for Seattle. Reds beat the Pirates 2-1 in Pittsburgh. It was the Marlins 9, the Cardinals 8 in Miami, the final in 10, and games going on right now. A's 4, Royals 2 in Oakland, 4th inning there. Brewers 2, Angels nothing, 4th inning in Anaheim. Rockies beating the Dodgers 8-4 in Colorado in the 7th inning. Mets and the Rangers tied at 6 in Arlington in the 9th inning. Rays beating the Twins 6-5 in Minnesota in the 5th. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. When we come back on our post-game coverage, we'll continue to cycle through your phone calls. We'll also tell you about today's player of the game. There were bright spots in this game for the Padres. We'll have our play of the game, wrap things up, get you ready for the final game of this 3-game set. Final score in the middle game of this 3-game series. Phillies 4, Padres 3. More post-game after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, the Phillies 4 and the Padres 3. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Good to have you with us on this Tuesday. Tough one for the Padres as they took a 3-1 lead into the bottom half of the 8th inning. Kyle Schwarber, a solo home run to make it 3-2 against Wandy Peralta. Robert Suarez, who got the final out of the 8th inning, came back on for the 9th inning, gave up 4 consecutive hits, and that was that. 2 runs scored in the process. The Phillies won it 4-3. Padres have now lost 5 in a row. They'll try to avoid the second sweep. Not the good kind, but getting swept for a second time with tomorrow's game. We'll have more on that game in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. There was good in this game for the Padres, no doubt about it. Let's tell you about today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Now he comes home, and Campusano swings, sends it in the air deep to center field. Pache's back on the warning track, feeling for the wall, leaps up, gonna go! Luis Campusano over the 4:01 marker in straightaway center field. A 2-run home run, and the Padres take a 2-1 lead.
That's some relief right there. Dead central. And for all the pain he felt in the last inning, he feels pretty good right now trotting around these bases.
That was Luis Campusano, at the time the biggest swing of the night. A 2-run home run in the 6th inning after the Padres didn't do anything against Aaron Nola in the first 5 innings. Campusano giving the Padres a 2-1 lead for Campusano. That was his 5th home run of the year. And for that reason, Luis will be our player of the game on the Padres side of things here tonight, despite this 4-3 loss as the Phillies come back to win it. But certainly a very nice moment for Luis Campusano. You heard the end of that call there, and so what they were referring to was Luis Campusano, the inning prior, took a foul ball that went to a place you don't want to get hit, and he was in a lot of pain, and he stayed in the game, toughed it out, hit a home run to give the Padres the lead. So salute to Luis Campusano. Big moment for him, and for that reason, Luis, our player of the game here tonight. Very, very nice job by him, but unfortunately not enough as Phillies come back to win it. All right, before we go, let's squeeze in one more phone call. Let's go to somebody who I understand was at the game in Philadelphia tonight. We're getting a call from Philly here on the Padres post-game show. It's Jim. Jim, you're on the Padres Radio Network. How are you?
How you doing? I'm actually from Carlsbad, but we took the road trip with the team this week in New York and Philadelphia. I just have to give you a quick experience here in Philadelphia. First of all, they sell out. They must sell out every game because there were no empty seats last night, no empty seats tonight. They are loud. It's not a disgrace to lose to this team because our neighbors we were sitting next to told us the Phillies in their last 28 games, and you may have mentioned the statistic, they have lost 3 times. They're 25-3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Jim. Jim. I'll let you finish here. Let me hop in and give everybody the stat because you brought it up, and we'll bring you back in here in a second, Jim. Your phone's making a lot of noise. We'll bring it back in a second. I promise. Including tonight, it's actually pretty remarkable. Including tonight, the Phillies have won 25 of their last 28 home games. 2 of the losses were in extra innings. So essentially, in the last 2+ months, the Phillies have lost 1 9-inning home game. This would have been the second if the Padres would have held on in regulation. The second time they lost a 9-inning game at home in the last 2+ months. So, Jim, you bring up a good point. They have been almost unbeatable at home. I brought you back in. What else you got?
My question to you is, and maybe I really thought maybe I'm wrong, but after watching this team, it looks like the best 2 teams in the National League are the Dodgers and the Phillies. Coming into this last couple of weeks, I really thought the Dodgers were better, but I'll tell you what, at this point, especially, with the Phillies don't even have their all-star catcher playing, I think I have to rate the Phillies over the Dodgers at this point.
Yeah, Jim, I'm with you. I'm with you for sure. I think the Phillies are the best team in the NL right now. And Jim, appreciate the phone call. Hope you had a good time at the game despite the final score, and have a good trip back to California whenever you head back here. And thank you for calling in. And despite the loss, Jim calling in, listening. I like that. Yeah, no, I totally agree. The Phillies, to me, are the best team in the NL right now. I think they are actually far more complete than the Dodgers are. I look at their starting pitching. I look at their bullpen. I look at this offense. Now, that doesn't mean much, as we've learned in a baseball postseason. It does not mean the Phillies are going to represent the National League and the World Series. It does not mean they're even going to win the division series. It doesn't mean anything these days in baseball because of the way teams get hot and we get all kinds of results that you don't expect. But right now, here on June 18th, the Phillies, to me, are pretty clearly the best team in the NL. And it's the record. They have the best record, so just by that, you can make the point. But, man, their lineup and their rotation and their bullpen, and you couple that with the fact that this is a team that's been to the World Series in the last couple of years, that's come up short, that is hungry for it, and has a lot of playoff experience, big game experience as a group. Yeah, to me, they're the best team in the NL right now, and I really don't think it's even that close. I think they're a better team than the Dodgers right now, better roster by quite a little bit. That doesn't mean anything, okay, when we get to October. But, yeah, right now, the Phillies, they're the class of the NL right now. Does that mean they're going to win a pennant? It does not. Okay, it does not. As we know, all you got to do is get in. So let's flip it to the Padres' perspective. Things are not going well right now. You're 37-40. You've lost 5 in a row. There is a long way to go, and you hope the Padres can, A, dig themselves out of what they're going through right now, and B, not allow what's been a really tough 5 games to spiral into a bad 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, because that's where, if you're the Padres, you start to get in trouble. We'll see what the Padres do tomorrow. We'll have more on that game in just a moment. First, let's wrap things up on this one with tonight's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Castellanos has faced Robert Suarez twice in his career. He has struck out both times. Had a walk-off single here against the Pirates in mid-April, and a walk-off double against Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. Winning run at second. First pitch on the way. Castellanos swings, hits it in the air down the right field line. Long run, Fernando. Over, he slides, can't make the catch. It bounces behind him. That'll get it done. Home rounding third, he'll score, and the Phillies walk it off. 4 straight hits against Suarez in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they come back to win it 4-3.
Not a fun play of the game here tonight, but the play that's got to be our play of the game. The Nick Castellanos walk-off RBI double. It was actually ruled a ground rule double. It landed in fair territory as Fernando Tatis Jr., who had come into the game in that 9th inning to play defense. Remember, Fernando is not in the lineup today. Came in, slid for it by the line, could not make the play. It bounced off, I think it was the warning track by then, and hopped up, and I think it just hit a fan in the stands and then came back onto the field to play. So it was ruled a ground rule double just for technicality purposes. But either way, Nick Castellanos, the walk-off hit, the final of 4 consecutive hits to begin that 9th inning against Robert Suarez, and the Phillies win it 4-3. Not a fun one, but no doubt about it, our play of the game here tonight. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, it'll be right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres tomorrow in this series finale and final game of this 6-game trip. Left-hander Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Phillies. First pitch tomorrow, bright and early at 10:05 a.m. Our pregame coverage here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres radio network will begin at 9:05. Certainly hope you can join us then. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to any or all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. If you would rather watch any of our post-game show on YouTube, you can also go find it there on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals in this one here tonight. For the Philadelphia Phillies, 4 runs, 13 hits, no errors. They left on 14 in this game. For the Padres, 3 runs, 4 hits, no errors. They left on 1. Winning pitcher was Jeff Hoffman, who improves to 3-0 on the year. Losing pitcher was Robert Suarez, who drops to 4-1, his first loss of the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 51 minutes, and it was a sold-out crowd at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. The attendance, 43,021. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, bright and early, little Padres and pancakes at 10:05 a.m. Pre-game show begins at 9:05. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score, the Philadelphia Phillies 4 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on the Padres Radio Network.